Everyone, how are we doing today? Online, am I audible?
No.
Good. It's always good to check.
Yes, we can hear you.
We can hear you. We can hear me. Yes, brilliant. Can't see me. Oh, maybe more. Okay. Okay, brilliant. So, can you still see me? Is it okay? Okay, good. Guys, well, thanks for being here. I know it is a bit of a rusty start with the tech. Do apologize for that. So before I get into this session, I wanted to make a few quick announcements. So for folks in online and folks in person, we'll be using the same breakout session method. For folks in online, they will be jumping in on Lucid Spark. For all the instructions are already in your GIC chat. So wait for the presenters to give you a step-by-step instructions to how to work in online. For in-person, we have a printed copies ready for you. And then we have the flip charts ready for you and posters and markers and everything. Just go ham. And another technical slide, sorry. Apologies.
At least it's you, Rafi, and not us.
I know.
Fine.
I know you might have already seen this many times for many weeks that I've been talking about joining the WhatsApp chat. So why is it important? Because Nadia and Diana, who's presenting today, already joined in the chat in advance. So if you have any burning questions about your business, not about today's task, you can still use them and ask them. But if you were to go and ask them, they will charge you consulting fee. So please make use of this opportunity. I'm pulling in all the strings and ask away. And you're probably here in the packed room. I'm pretty chuffed because you've already heard about me saying this. For folks in online, if you're in Lebanon, if you're in everywhere, please don't email me. I know you can email me and ask, but I can't tell you what's your local time. So to join at 12:30 UK time. So we moved from BST to GMT. So again, another rinse, repeat pitch form. Scan the QR code. I know it says pitch, pitch, pitch. That's to just stress you. We are under 4 weeks away. So make use of this opportunity and drop in a 90-second pitch video and try to answer the questions. And it's one pager is optional. If you still think your 90-second pitch doesn't have a context, that's a trouble. But if you think so, you can still submit a one pager. And as always I do, I'm going to talk about the next workshop, a teaser, before I go into today's one. So we got learn to sell and without feeling salesy. I know it's a bit of very commercial sound because I think it is very much important for everyone about communication, even before you're starting to or thinking to sell anything. I thought Derek is a perfect person for that. The reason because Derek is a director of business development from Skyrora. That's a company. If you guys are wondering what is Skyrora, it's a Scotland-based satellite company. So they design, manufacture, test, and launch, all done from my hometown, Glasgow. But they have factories around Europe. And Derek is the director of communication and business development. It's all about transferring this easeless communication into a meaningful partnerships with no tactics, just pure tricks. So he will be able to show you that, and then I will talk about him a bit more. And the reason for us being today here, and I'm trying to justify succinctly why you have to listen to these two people here. So I think you have to hear these two people because I personally think each and every founder should have them in their corner. Because Nadia brings a decade of experience leading and testing strategies for majority of the programs that she was part of. And she will show you how to build the things right. And Yana, on the other hand, will help the startups to cut through the noise and validate the users actually what. So you're building things right or building the things a right thing. So together they will help you to de-risk your MVP, the minimum viable product that you're trying to build, move from an assumption to an evidence-based approach. So you are in very good hands today. Without further ado, I'm going to invite Yana. So please give them a big round of applause.
Thank you. Oh. Hello, everyone. Thanks so much, Rafi, for a very warm welcoming. I'm really honored to be there. Thank you so much for showing up. I know you're all brilliant students, founders or aspiring founders, and today we're going to show you how to pack the ideas that you have into actual products. So you got your brilliant idea, and now what? You probably analyzed your market, you probably maybe drafted your business model, you probably drafted your business plan already. And so now is the hard part, what you build first, like how you decide what's the value right from the start. Because the biggest risk is you pour all your heart, your soul, your money, all the other resources that you have into something that just nobody wants. So the question today is, how do you decide, what to build first? How do you focus on the value right from the start? How do you avoid wasting the resources? And this is something that we're going to tackle today. To navigate all these decisions, all these questions, we will show you how to see bigger picture, how to start not from product features, but from understanding your user and their reality. And this is what I'm passionate about. So hello, everyone. My name is Yana Varankova. I'm going to tell you a bit why I'm the right person to talk about that today. So my exposure to business started very early. I had many family members who were entrepreneurs, and since very early age, I observed my mother. She was a brilliant salesperson, and what I saw is that her success came not from what she was selling, but actually how she was doing that. She created a fascinating, unique customer experience for every customer she had. She made them feel seen and heard, and that got me puzzled why it works like this. So how this connection works. And also it developed in me very early the sense of customer centricity, the sense of empathy. So that's what brought me to my degree. I really wanted to study psychology. I always wanted to help people. I always wanted to understand human behavior. And the theory wasn't enough for me. I really wanted to apply all the psychological knowledge to something, to the field that I'm really fascinated about, I'm curious about. So I was an avid video game player since, again, very early age, and I was always into tech. So that's how I narrowed down my psychology degree to engineering psychology, to human-computer interaction field. So I started working as a user experience researcher in big video gaming companies. I helped them delivering games that players actually love, that they enjoy. That was one part of my experience. Then I dove into the other part of the spectrum, and I started working in a tiny early stage startups. And there was a true shift and eye-opening for me, because that's where I saw how because it's easy to just jump into a big company and when there's everything established already. But when you start from zero, like where do you start exactly, right? You don't start with building features. You start way beyond that, way before that. You start from understanding your users. You start by understanding your audience, your customers, your potential customers. So you start your discovery research. You understand who your target audience is, what kind of needs they have. From their needs, from their pains and problems, you define the value that you can give to them. So think about the value, and then from that value, you start building features. So I did lots of cross-team collaboration. I worked very closely in startups with product marketing, engineering, QA, user acquisition, everyone. And that's where I saw that it's not only one person who is responsible for building the experience, it's everyone actually. So user experience is something that should be really democratized across the startup. So because everyone's involved, everyone's responsible for their part. So this is how I shifted from just focusing on the interface, just beautiful picture where everything is usable, looks nice, looks pretty, to understanding this kind of whole business ecosystem where you map and design all the journey of your customer. So this journey starts when your customer first clicks on your ad or on your landing page website, and then through the onboarding you guide them into your product, and then you observe how they use your core product, and then you, for example, you send them your emails. This whole is the business ecosystem, this whole system. And so you have to understand that this is how they become your true fans. It shouldn't be siloed. You should all work together on creating this well-rounded journey. You should ensure that it's cohesive, this journey is cohesive and delivers the promise that you made for them. That's why it's written here, building the journey, not just the product, because it's much more than just your functions. And the reason why I started with that angle, because you start this journey with your first tangible promise, the first taste of value that you can provide to your users, to your customers. And this first promise, this first tangible product would be your minimal viable product. That's the thing we're going to talk about today, your MVP. And so if you manage to get it right, if you really manage to make it viable and valuable, that's how you de-risk your venture, right? So I'm excited to share how. If you want, you can connect with me on LinkedIn via this QR code. And let's crack on. So the first thing that I'd like to talk about is your user needs. Well, again, I know you learned about it previously, so maybe you already did some research, some audience research, and you already have an impression what kind of pains, problems your potential audience has. So their needs become their problems that you will solve. And these problems, we turn into actions. These actions would be called user stories. And these user stories would be building blocks for the MVP. We're going to look into it today. So your users' needs identify the problems, right? And functions define solutions that you're going to come up to cover their problems. And user story, these are actions that your user will make with your product, will act upon. So you see the format. It's a pretty set framework. User story format looks like this. As a, and then you define the role. I want to perform a specific task so that I can achieve my goal. So, for example, the problem I might have is that I'm often running late in the morning and I hate waiting in the coffee shop queue. So a solution that you as a founder might provide to me is that you can give me the opportunity to order my coffee and pay for it in advance so that I just pop up, like grab the cup and go. So then we translate this action into a user story format, which would be, as a busy commuter, that's my role, I want to order my coffee ahead via the app. That's the task that I'm going to do. And that so that I can skip the queue. That's my goal. Right?
Oh dear. Not what I expected.
So there is a
And our audience seems to be off. Hey, Rafi, we can't hear online.
Yeah, we are back now. I'll be with you shortly. Positive. Are we audible?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Brilliant.
Yes.
Right. So where was I? Having just user stories is not enough. It can be overwhelming because you can just list many stories and again, now what, right? So you need a map. This is the map. This is the tool. It's called user story mapping. It's a specific framework. You can Google it. It's very popular. It's a visual plan. This tool lays out your entire user journey in a specific structure. So the structure looks like this. The highest level you see are the activities. You can think of them as a very, very broad tasks. You can think of them, if you see the PC example, these are your root folders. So for example, in our coffee ordering app, it can be order coffee, as simple as that. So it's very, very broad. If you build in an e-commerce, it will be buy a product. That's it. So the next level, right below it, is the backbone. So backbone, this is your narrative flow, like how you achieve this specific high-level activity. For example, for that coffee shop, you start with browsing your menu, you customize your order, then you check out, and then you collect the drink. So this is kind of a narrative that you go through. These are the specific states. You order them horizontally from left to right as you go through the steps. And then below the backbone, these are user stories. So these are light-colored kind of sticky notes. Usually user stories are written on the sticky notes. And then you arrange these user stories under each step. So for example, if we take customize your coffee order, the specific tiny steps would be choose size, select your milk, add syrup, specify the temperature. So you organize them under each step. And then another thing that you see here, which is very important, is the release slice. So you see the line. These are your releases. So what's in between the lines, this is your first release. Then this is your next release. So your first release will be called an MVP. So let's quickly see how to build one. You start with creating the backbone. You lay out your user steps from left to right, as I mentioned already. So for example, for coffee app, browse menu, customize order, checkout, for example. Step 2 would be you start with browse menu, and under this step, you nest your specific tasks. For example, see list of coffees, see the price, see specials, right? Under customize step, you put choose milk type, choose size, add syrup. Then the next 2 steps are you arrange them by importance. So you organize your must-have features at the top and your nice-to-have features at the bottom. That's very important. So for example, for a coffee shop app, selecting the drink size, probably important. Selecting the type of syrup that you want to add, probably less important and can be implemented later. So you prioritize them, and the last step, your final step, you draw a line. You decide what is the minimum set of features that you can deliver, the features that will deliver the journey, the specific journey. So for example, if your user need is to get that caffeine quickly in the morning, that's the need that your MVP should cover, which means that for your MVP, you might only have order black coffee, collect black coffee. That's it. That will be your MVP. Right. So why it's called viable? It means that it's capable to deliver the value right now from the day one. So you see the picture. You see the picture on the right is what is considered to be a product starting with MVP, the skateboard, and what is not. So the point is that every product that you see on the pedestal, they are all means of transport. They all deliver the same option, which is getting around. They just do it better and better every time. But the point is that they should deliver this promise. You should not give a user a wheel, for example, just selecting a type of a syrup if they can't, I don't know, pay for it, or if they can't collect their coffee in advance, right? So your MVP gives you clarity what to build, right? But building it right and testing your assumptions is as valuable as building. So for that crucial part of the process, I'll hand over to brilliant Nadia.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Jana. It's wonderful.
Do a quick check if it works. Brilliant.
Yeah?
Yes.
Can you all see the next slide? So I'm going to go straight into my introduction and basically what gives me the credentials to stand in front of you today. So I have been in software testing and quality assurance for almost 30 years. I know I don't look it. And about a year ago, I decided all of that learning, everything that I had learned over the years, I wanted to give back and work with startups. My career started in a business and investment reporting. So I know all about stocks and shares, and got my stock exchange clerk's exam somewhere around 1990. And I made some money from that. But I was offered the opportunity, because I was a subject matter expert, when they were moving into new systems. Now, I don't think anybody in the room has heard of a mainframe, but it was moving from a banking mainframe to relational databases. And because I was a user of the end systems, a bit like what Jana's already described, I was the customer. I was asked to go onto the team. And basically, I never went back. I discovered that actually it was quite unique to have women in tech. And also, I really became passionate about making sure things worked for the end customer. So I have been a tester, a head of testing. I've worked for consultancy firms as well as working for ordinary organizations in their business teams. As a consultant, I didn't realize how great it was. I have worked in so many different sectors. I have actually worked in and around this university here, Edinburgh Park, lots of different companies there. I worked for a company called Origo, which are just over there, which is to do with insurance. So I get it. But one thing, it doesn't matter what the tech is or what the product is that you're delivering. Customer needs to come first, because actually that is how you'll make your money. We're all in business eventually to make money. We want to get joy out of it as well, but we want to make money, and a good quality product will get you there. And I felt that actually in the corporate world, things were becoming a little bit of a tick in the box exercise. And I like to hope that the new generation, startups, the founders, wherever you are in the world, that you're starting to think about it. You've got a massive opportunity to get it right from the beginning. And I'm sure lots of you will be having experiences just now of things that just don't work and are very frustrating. So I'm here to help you not make that mistake and make it better. So why would you? Why does testing matter? And I like this sort of snowball effect. By doing one small thing in the beginning, by conducting testing, ultimately in the end, you're going to have a wonderful reputation. Everyone will have FOMO. You'll beat all your possible competitors. They'll want to do more. You can enhance your product range because everyone likes you. You know, you either got an Apple or a Google phone or whatever because somebody liked it, recommended it, your pals have all got it. All of these things started with an idea. But quality is the biggest thing. It's very difficult to describe it because everyone feels different. It's a feeling. And it's sometimes quite hard to test that. But Jana's already started you on that journey. It's doing something for the end customer. Also, I think most of you are solo founders at the moment, but I've obviously worked in big teams. And one of the most joyous things is taking a product to market and knowing your customer likes it. That gives so much value to your team. It's not just the wage that someone's taken, it's the contribution they're making to something. All of that you can get through testing because it's a confidence builder. That's why I'm recommending it. So these are all the positive things. There are sometimes negative connotations with testing because your job is to find bugs before customers do, before it gets out there in the market. There's lots of examples. I love the fact that Amazon Web Services went down last week because I can use that as a perfect one. So many organizations used it. The impact of that is absolutely massive. So I'm sure it was costly for them. They've probably got enough money in the bank to deal with it, and they should be building in contingency. But worth knowing all these things and thinking about it. So that's why testing matters, why it's more of a positive than a negative to find issues beforehand. And this is also why things go wrong. This is not an AI generated picture. I don't know if you can see this, and you can all see it online. This is a driveway with a lovely gate, lovely slab driveway, and it's got a tree in front of it. This is a real photo. I'm sure you could probably do a reverse thing now because it's not AI. I probably first used this about 10, 15 years ago, and I've kept it in the slide pack that I've carried from organisation to organisation to say, if you don't specify and when you're building a house exactly what you want, this could be what you get. And I'm assuming it was going to cost too much money. There was obviously probably regulatory things. That poor tree, you cannot cut down trees. So I wanted to show you this to put some context around why we would do it. This is AI generated, and I started using this in my slides. I asked ChatGPT, this was ChatGPT, it was when it first started to do the illustrations a little bit better and some graphics. And I'm not going to go into all the details why I asked about equality and equity. You might know that I'm a female, an elderly female standing in front of you. And it got the equality right. You know, everyone receives the same support. And on a first look, you might think that it got equity right as well. And it's completely. And so this is one of many iterations. And I had to keep telling it. And I went down a rabbit hole, and I was there for about 2 hours telling this, totally wasting my time. And it still didn't quite, I'm not going to show you it, but it had its hands up and still wasn't quite equal on what it had on the bench. Now, I'm not saying don't use AI. Some of the examples I've got later on, I used AI to generate that, just gave it some instructions. So there's good things for it. But it's about collaborating and discussion. And you'll find when you do your breakout session, we're going to ask you to all get together. Doing that will give you much more than, and you've chatted to them about, removing the tree before you build the gate. And I got the graphic designer. 5 minutes later, she came back with that and she'd already tested it. So sometimes it's better to have that human in the loop and the human interaction. Another thing that affects us when we are doing testing is we shouldn't just look at it from one perspective. I am going to give you this requirement, or this could be also a user story or what you want something to do. This is from my days in banking. Credit card numbers must not be displayed in full. You've probably seen that on systems because that would be a bit of a security risk. Only the first 6 and last 4 digits, there's 16-digit numbers in a credit card, should be displayed. All other digits must be displayed as asterisks. Seems reasonable enough. I'm sure you've got a vision in your head of what that's going to output. That is what it asked for. Don't know if you can see this as clearly. Those digits in the middle are actually asterisk the goal, those of you that know it, because there's a typo there. And this happens all the time because we're not checking. We're not testing that we have asked for the right thing. We have not done that. So actually what they wanted was an asterisk with a K on the end, not an X on the end. And I have seen many examples of this kind of thing throughout my career, and that's what we need to be looking for and focusing in on. One of the other sides of it is we've all got different perspectives of what's happening. So I want a new car, or somebody wants a new car. These are two different groups. So there's a family, and we're going to call it midlife crisis, because Jana has seen my car as well. Midlife crisis. So if you're a family, you're going to have soccer mom minivan because you need to carry them about. You've got shopping, you've got a dog, you've got everything. If you're this gentleman here, you're going, I want a sports car. Still want a car. If you'd ask for a red car, they're both red cars. So that's back to what Jana was talking about, who your customer is, understand what their needs are, think about things from different perspectives. There's also, this one is quite a common one that I used to see back in my early career. Create a swing. I need to be able to sit on it and hold on with both hands. All of these deliver to that. All three of these respond to, they're all swings. You can sit on them and you can hold on with both hands. Great. Which one's right? Well, you need to dig a little bit deeper. You need to understand. So for example, if you say, I want natural materials, you probably want the wood. If you say, I've only got a budget of X, you're probably not going to have that one at the end that's mechanical, because you need to be bearing that in mind. There might be regulatory requirements going on with what you have. So I'm not allowed to use rubber. We're putting that somewhere else. You can't use the first one. So you may think initially that you've made yourself clear about what it is that you want to build, but just double check, double think about it. And this one is one of my all-time favourites. This is from an old kind of probably mainframe GUI system. If you're giving errors out, for goodness sake. I think, Jana, you were telling me something the other day that you had seen.
The UX conference, and they had the entire talk about how poorly usually the errors handled and how much attention you actually should put into it, because this is not user friendly. This doesn't tell you, okay, what happened, why it happened, what you should do next, right? So this is also user experience, and it should be done right as well. Yeah.
So you may have thought about these kind of things, but I'm hoping this will also lead you to think about this a little bit more. And I'm from a software background. Your products, what you're going to be pitching may not actually, it's likely it will have some interface with software, even if you're developing a product. So it's lines of code, and the code might work, but it needs to work in the way that the user needs it. And this could be if you've got a product that's actually a list of ingredients, materials that you have to put into something. What's the quality of what you're getting from a supplier? What's the standards that you need? You need to build that into whatever you're saying. You need to be aware that you will have criteria, and we're going to talk about criteria in a couple of slides further on. This is my kind of framework for working that I've put together pretty much based on my years of experience and trying to use it for founders and startups and people who have not been in the tech world, that have not been programmers, developers. Nowadays, we've got things like no code that all of you could probably know about. And this works, it's quite agnostic, and it's just to point you in the right direction. Jana's already started to talk about the reveal part, and I'm going to just finish that off with something. And I'm going to also talk about risk. I think Rafi mentioned it. I'm sure that's come up ongoing. Risk is a big thing. Understanding your risks is important, regardless of what you're doing. Understanding them in life in general is pretty helpful, because then that can help you make the right decisions. I do have in the slides some tips around what refine means. It's about measuring yourself as you go, but we're not going to cover that today. But you'll have that information away with you. And as we've already said, you can contact us later. And the same with readiness. Readiness is about beyond the MVP, that you need to start preparing. So even if you're putting an MVP out there, What are you going to do if your customer has a problem? How are you going to manage that? Can we think about that? Can we actually test that part of the process? Can we test our go live? Can we test with our customers? You know, nothing to say that you can't put it out with something wrong as long as you know what's wrong with it and you're getting the customer to buy in. Now, I'm going to talk about reveal. This is where you test as the user. You're thinking about it's you that's receiving that product that's going to be using that. But there could be multiple users. So you test for all of them. And Jana's already taken you on that journey when we're talking about user stories, who it's for. And we use checklists. And I'm going to give you a kind of checklist called business acceptance criteria. And this is on paper. This is before you've built anything. This is what's also called, which is me sort of using techie language, it's called shift left. It's really important. The further to the left before you're giving that out to clients and you've spent money, as Jana's already talked about, the better it is. So you can do all of this on paper or on an online board, sticky notes. We're going to do both ways today. So acceptance criteria is what you decide, you agree that user story that Jana took you through, what means it's been delivered, that it's done, that it's viable, that feature is working. So it's often done by, if you're the only founder, it's you that's going to do that, but you can do that with your customers. You can, what's the word, user groups, user experience groups. I'll send out surveys, focus groups, that's the word I'm looking for. You can do that to help define your criteria. You're all going to be focus groups today. We're going to put you into groups for the breakout session, and you'll all have a different perspective as well. So that's really important. You think about that it's collaborative. And it needs to be clear. We've also given you some examples about how you might think it's clear, and it doesn't necessarily follow through that it's clear. And you could have multiple criteria, and I'm going to give you some of them. Also, this is a more techie speak, non-functional aspects, but what they are probably the things that you care about most. How usable is it? How quick is it? Does it load? Does it work on different operating systems if it's a piece of software? So you need to think about all these things. And eventually, when you come to what we would formally call testing or test execution, if any of you have had experience of that, these would be what your expected results would be. And this is what you sign off on the basis of. And if you're getting a third party to help you, make sure they're doing that. And I've got some tips that you'll get later on. These are going to be in the breakout session. These are sort of categories to help guide you. I do not expect that you'll be able to do this. We have given you a very short talk today, but a lot of these things are based on common sense. It's just pointing you in that direction that you've got this checklist. Usually it's about the functionality, but what needs to, what outputs are you expected from the inputs that you're given? What roles, as an administrator, you're going to have different access, for example, as someone who's not administrator of the system, there's a normal customer. How usable is it? I've talked about that, and I've said this. There's also security. Interfaces. Now, with a minimum viable product, at the moment, you might just have your idea, but are you going to be taking payments at some point? Are you going to use a third-party system? I work with a lot of people who are founders who maybe use Shopify. Have you used, I'm sure you've purchased things. Shopify have actually got great interfaces, and they do very good testing, they follow a lot of this. I'm not actually advocating. But you could do that. You can, think about the externals of it.
And these criteria on the categories will help you when you're co-building with your customers.
Yeah.
It's a big fashion now. So if you co-build a product or a service with your customer, which is pretty relevant these days. So these are all very useful tips.
Brilliant. This is an example of a user story. As a shopper, I want to select a t-shirt in my size and colour, add it to my bag. Seems like a simple phrase. Look at all of them. Now, that's not even everything. That was just the ones I could get on one page. Yeah. So these are stuff that you might immediately think about. There's always bits and pieces that you won't. delivery info updates. That's maybe a nice to have. You might not have that in your MVP. So I'll quickly move on because I know that we want to get to the breakout session. Oh, somebody had a query.
Thank you. What if a customer doesn't know what's involved? Before, for example, cars were invented, everybody was selling, faster cars. Or, before iPhone, we didn't know we want. So how do you navigate that, I guess?
Well, you should be delivering something. If you've done the part that Jana's talked about finding out about what the customer wants, you'll have an idea. You can give suggestions, but you probably touched on something that people will go, I want it to go fast. But you have to rein that into criteria and say, would 100 miles an hour, talking about a car, would that be acceptable? But then you have to think about, which actually comes to what I'm talking about here, regulation. What's the speed limit? What are you going to be using? What's your budget? So you do sometimes have to rein it in, and sometimes customers don't know what they want until you present it. I would say testing's a bit like that. People don't realise they need to test until something goes wrong, but you want to try and preempt that. And so risk is a way of actually defining that. And it's a situation involving exposure to danger and something unpleasant will happen. If it's happened, it's an issue. You're too late, but do this beforehand. So it's the likelihood of an issue occurring. I'm just going to quickly run through this. I'm going to give you a risk assessment tool, which if you have time to complete in the breakout session, and it's based on impact and probability. I don't know, this is probably something that you're aware of. Probability also means the likelihood of something happening. So some examples. Chocolate may be rationed. What's the likelihood of that happening? Now, 10 years ago, plenty of chocolate in the world. Did you know that the cost of chocolate has increased around 27% over the last 2 years, with a 12% rise in the past year alone? So a lot of that, let's say it's to do with climate crisis or whatever. So the chances of it being rationed are a lot higher. What's the impact? It depends if you're a chocolate lover or not. So that's one example. Football will no longer be televised. Depends whether you care about football or not. It may well be, football being televised is based on advertising revenue. If we're using streaming services that we're already paying for, there's no advertising. So maybe it will stop being televised. Interest rates may rise. Depends on, when I was very lucky to buy my first property when interest rates were very, very low. I wouldn't like to be a first-time buyer just now, and they're going to get high. 10% might actually happen in the economic situation that we're in, and the impact is pretty high, especially when we've got a housing crisis. But that would have been different many years ago, or people didn't really need to buy their own house, because certainly in the UK there was a lot more council housing. So you will have this next part in your handouts for the breakout, and it's just giving you ways of looking at risk. Things like, is this going to damage my reputation if this goes all wrong when I release it? Do I have any regulatory compliance? I know that Heriot-Watt is known kind of for its health and med tech, for example. So if you've got medical tech, there will definitely be higher regulatory standards that you have to think about. And in terms of, security, we all know about security breaches, hacks. What's the impact on you if that goes wrong? What's the likelihood of it happening? Now, if you're using established organisations to help build your tech, might be less likely. If you're doing it yourself, if it's more greenfield, if you don't have expertise, there's a higher risk factor in there, and you have to build that in. So I think, are we about ready for the breakout?
Oh, yes.
So I do have other slides, but as I already said, we will be, you will get them in a handout.
Yes,
I'm not covering that in the breakout.
These slides are in the presentations for obvious reasons, because when you go home, possibly, I hope you're going to try this. When you're building something, this will help you. But if you still have any questions after that, ask Nadia and Yana and myself the question ready in the chat. That's what we're here for. So let's jump into the breakout activities. And for folks in online, we're going to share a Lucid Spark link, and Yana is going to walk you through a step-by-step process what to do. But for in-house here, I'm just going to hand it over to you.
Yeah, I don't remember this all off by heart. So you're all going to get the same case study. So what we're giving you is a case study, and we're going to develop a banking app called Volt, and it's for Gen Z students, however many of you are in the room and online. And the mission is it's to help with budgeting. And we do, you'll all have the same thing, and you're going to go into groups with, I think we've lost you. So we need you to go into groups because we don't have enough copies. So yeah. And Jana's gonna
share Windows breakout exercise.
Yeah. And
are we seeing the breakout exercise?
Have they seen the breakout online? Have they got it? Have they got the? Yeah. And you'll have around 40 minutes, I think, left, have we?
Aye.
35. You'll have around 35 minutes to do this.
And that's your breakout activity. It's on here. Yana, do you want to give them a loud shout?
Yeah.
Walk them through the step-by-step process. It's now on the video.
Yeah, so guys, please, few minutes of your attention. So what you have in your handouts, or folks online have the same. So you have your case study. You will, guys, please listen to me, please.
Just one
minute
sec.
of your attention. You will have your case study, what kind of product you're building. You will have your persona, Alex. This is your user, your customer. His needs will be defined there. You have the list of user stories we prepared for you. So we want everyone. We want everyone to work on the same task. We'll have about half an hour. So don't look at the timings. You will have half an hour for everything. So you will have a task of 3 parts. So number 1, you would have to build the backbone. Remember the steps, 1, 2, 3. So we have suggestions here for the high-level activities. For example, since it's a student banking app, we suggest you either with getting started or managing money or social features. These are up to you. This is only recommendation. So you think of a high-level activity you want to build your MVP around. You have the list of your user stories, and you have to group them and define the flow, right? So in a nutshell, you have the highest activities, and you have the most narrow task. You have to build the middle. You have to build the backbone, the steps that they will go through. After you build the backbone, you have to, you would have to, so you organize your user stories after each step of the backbone. Remember this coffee app? If we are browsing coffee, we have to be able to see the price. For example, as a user, I want to see the price of this coffee, right? After you organize your, so for folks here, you will have flip charts and sticky notes. You will write each user story on the sticky notes, and you will build the map exactly as you saw in the presentation. After you put all your stories under your backbone, you decide on your MVP. So please bear with me, just 30 more seconds. You decide on your MVP. You draw the line, which features you deliver in your product and which are not going to be in the MVP, right? Now, who's Nadia? Nadia, can you talk about the last part?
So the last part is once you've agreed the couple of user stories that you want to focus on.
Nadia.
Oh, sorry. If you want to agree the couple of user stories that you're going to focus on in your groups, so you'll have done that. Write some acceptance criteria based on it. It doesn't have to be fancy. Just go, what will be good for this user story that we need to see done for our MVP? And then you could actually, if you get time, think about some risks that might be associated with it, what could go wrong, and what the impact and probability is as well. I hope you caught that online.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
In the room, do you guys have any questions? And Edinburgh, any questions for us? Anything that you felt like, oh, I need a bit more clarity on that? Because if you think you need it,
What a nightmare.
if you think you do, then obviously others will likely have that question.
So
Online? Any questions from the room? Okay. So I will ask you a question then. What part you actually found difficult to apply? Or you go for it. Stand up.
you're getting picked on.
Often as they call it the steps in the first place, it's quite difficult, especially when you've not got that knowledge about the subject. I mean, when we're getting started, like when you say background checks and approval, it's like, oh, of course, but you don't really think of that in the first place.
Yes.
Coming out of those steps initially quite difficult.
Well, this is a whole sort of an inertia effect here because we are introducing you to the concept that you often don't listen in lectures. You might hear them, but you don't apply them. Putting right into practice, then you go back home to your WhatsApp scrolling at like, I would like to ask more about this, or I'd like to Google about this. And then you come back and bother me, bother them, bother my entire team. I'll try my best to answer. If I do not have an answer, I'm going to be shameless and going to ask back to them. Could you help me? That is it. That is it. But there is no such thing called a direct step-by-step method to applying this. Is most of them are common sense. That's why I jumped in when Nadia was presenting. I said, it often applies when you're co-building with your end users. If not, do take an end users approach if you're just being a solo founder by just jumping into the various rooms in Facebook's or tech testing platforms. Just jump in and see where they're at. Please.
I got
Oh, yeah.
So for the MVP, how much would you put effort to satisfy your customer? Like your first priority would be the listening the customer, or you also would consider your limitation?
That's a good point. So what you're saying is, right, how do I satisfy my customer and myself at the same time? Well, we're definitely in that position because we work for ourselves, and I was just saying that to someone. You've got to deliver. You're the founder who's doing all the accounting, who's doing all the spec-in, who's finding out about your customers. I think it's for you to decide what the MVP is, guided by who you think you're solving a problem for.
yeah,
Would you agree with that, Jana?
you need to deliver value in some form, so your user should be satisfied. So, for example, I work with the founder. She works on the app that helps to understand your dog's behavior with using AI and especially trained models. The point is that you film your dog and AI tells you what's going on, what actions you should take. So doing it live is very, very high level. Like it comes way, way later. Right now, her MVP is you upload the video. Does it deliver value? Yes, because you will understand what's going on with your dog, but you won't be able to do it live. You just have to go through extra hoops, but you will get the value, that promise that she delivers. Her promise, the need that she covers is what's going on with my dog. So as long as your MVP delivers that value that you want to deliver, it covers the need. With coffee app example, I need my caffeine quickly. If that need is covered, you're good.
So in a deep tech approach, like a real physical product that derives and moves from a project meeting that you have, like so be it in a simulation that you wanted to build something to not burn, quickly go and build, do a simulation, and then see if the simulation works and operates in a harsh environment that is supposed to be what customers are after. If you're building something for subsurface, if you're building something for offshore, get those data first and then see if it's very, very budget friendly, extremely minimal and user friendly at an early stage, because it is a mock before we get a tangible things out.
If it's a software product, then definitely make use of AI. There's a lot of tech out there doing things like no code. which can develop it for you with very minimal instruction. You know, invest your own time in learning that. If it's a product, just, you know, do very small first and see how it works. I think you were talking about in the lab, a lab-based thing. Don't go to the very end, the very last thing that you want it to do. Testing can be iterative. So you do a small thing, add another bit to it, add another thing to it. As that increases, there will be more time you're spending, but it then becomes more than the minimum viable product as well. You can add more to it, as Jana said, you know, from a video to go live. But plan for that and don't overcommit. That would be my thing as well. And Parkinson's law says that we take the amount of time that we've got to do something. Don't underestimate either. These things take a lot longer. As you'll see from the presentation today, we completely got the timings wrong. So don't overestimate.
Another thing, Rafi kindly send you all the pre-reading materials. If you're still not quite sure how to do the mapping thing, there is a fantastic article from very, very credible source. It's the Nielsen Normal Group. It's the father of the user experience. So please just look through the article. It will explain again all the concepts, activities, backbone, user stories. So any questions around that, the article covers it entirely. And there's a short video about what MVP is. So just please look 4-minute video.
And this is as relevant to software product, any kind of product development.
Could we continue that in WhatsApp, my friend? Apologies. Sorry.
We'll stay in the room.
No,
We can speak to you.
continue. No,
Yeah.
continue.